My parents allowed my brother to tear down my sister's confidence for 15 years. Now they're shocked she banned him from her $40,000 wedding. My 37-year-old brother Mark has always been a mess, entitled, lazy, and constantly bailed out by our parents, who coddled him into becoming completely useless. Back when he was younger, he showed some promise as a rugby player, which made our parents think he'd grow into some national star. But he didn't have the discipline. Still, that didn't stop them from treating him like the family's golden boy. In their eyes, he could do no wrong. He was a nightmare at school, a bully to other kids, but Mom and Dad insisted those were just lies. At home, it was worse. He took out all his cruel behavior on our younger sister, Ingrid, who's now 31. He was always pulling humiliating stunts, like yanking up her dress in front of everyone at a wedding when she was just 15. Our parents brushed it off as just kids being kids, but the rest of the family was horrified. I stood up for her when I could, but once I left for university, there wasn't much I could do. Our parents refused to see the truth. It got so bad that when Ingrid was 18, she ditched her dream of going to St. Andrews and enrolled at Imperial College London instead. She'd been talking about St. Andrews since she was 11. When I asked her why, she told me St. Andrews was too close to home. If she went there, she'd be expected to come home often. But in London, she'd only have to return for Christmas. That broke my heart. And she kept her word. She only came back for Christmas. When I got married, it really bothered Mom and Dad that she didn't visit more. They thought she was abandoning the family. I stayed quiet to avoid conflict. They expected her to move back after graduation, but she got a job in southern England and never returned. For context, we're from Scotland. 6 years ago, Ingrid met Jake. She called me the day they met, totally glowing about him. I've never heard her talk about anyone like that. I've met him a few times on visits. He's great. Funny, handsome, solid job, loving family, and most importantly, he treats Ingrid like she's everything. It's actually adorable. After meeting him, she visited even less. Her first Christmas with his family was the last one she spent at home. Then COVID hit, and she couldn't come home for 3 years. When she finally did, Mark tried pulling the same stunts to hog the spotlight. But this time it backfired. Jake had become the center of attention. Mark tried to dump a basin of water on Ingrid as a prank, but Jake saw it coming and stood in front of her. He's 6'3", trained in martial arts since he was 4, and can be seriously intimidating when needed. Mom and Dad brushed it off as harmless fun, but Jake shut it down fast. Mark whined about it being just a joke, and Jake told him if he tried anything again, he'd be the one getting pranked, with Jake's foot up his ass and a fist down his throat. Ingrid and Jake left about an hour later. There was a loud argument between them and our parents, and Ingrid hasn't been home since. Now she and Jake are getting married. The invitations went out in February for an August wedding, but Mark didn't get one. Mom and Dad are furious. They argued with Ingrid, who simply said, "No problem," when they threatened not to attend. She asked our grandfather to walk her down the aisle instead. I stopped by their house that Saturday with my kids, and my mom instantly started venting about Ingrid and the wedding. I listened quietly for a bit before I snapped. I asked her what she expected. They spoiled Mark so much that he became incapable of being a decent person. He can't hold down a job, thinks everything is beneath him, and still lives at home with no future. He's a bully, and I don't even trust him around my kids. He tormented Ingrid for most of her life, and the only way she escaped was by moving 400 miles away and cutting contact. My mother went silent, then asked me to leave. A few hours later, my dad called, furious. He said I'd upset Mom and taken the side of an ungrateful little girl instead of the parents who gave me everything. That led to a huge blowout. I told him straight that he was a terrible father to Ingrid and had no right to walk her down the aisle. I'm done. But now extended family is saying I went too far because Mom won't stop crying and barely speaks to anyone. Grandpa said it was about time someone put them in their place. Grandma, though, is stressed out by all the fighting. So now I'm stuck wondering, was I really wrong for telling my parents they failed Ingrid and didn't deserve to go to her wedding? Ingrid's not changing her mind. They're not going, and honestly, she only invited them to be polite. Grandpa's still walking her down the aisle. Honestly, she picked the right man, and if my parents can't handle the truth, maybe they need to disappear for a while. I'm seriously thinking about joining Jake's family for future holidays and leaving those three out of it. Does Mom really think Mark's going to take care of them when they're old? Ingrid should probably hire security. I wouldn't put it past them to try and crash the wedding. You can't expect a bully's victim to invite them to their big day. Let the dirty laundry air out. Stay close to Ingrid if you can. Maybe skip the social media posts for now. Mark seems like the kind of guy who'd call up vendors just to mess with things. As for Mom's tears, that's on her. She let her daughter be treated like garbage and now wants sympathy because no one's buying her victim act. Not this time. Honestly, it's pathetic, and my sister is so much better off staying far away from all of them. She built a whole new life, one that's based on peace, respect, and boundaries. 3 things our childhood home never gave her. She's not bitter. She's healed. And healing meant cutting off the people who laughed when she cried and who stayed silent when she was humiliated. My wife, who's 30, and I'm 33, finally got the chance to go out on a real date night. It's rare for us, so we made the most of it. Dinner, a couple of drinks, just enjoying being together. Since we live in a quiet, upper-middle-class neighborhood and the restaurant was nearby, we took the scenic route home through the park. It was peaceful, until 2 men suddenly came out of nowhere. They said they had guns, though we couldn't see them, and demanded our wallets and phones. We didn't resist. We were scared out of our minds and did exactly what they asked. But it didn't stop there. One of them barked, "Take off your stuff." I froze. What was I supposed to do? Play? Hero and get us both killed? I kept it calm, took off my shirt, and gave them what they wanted. My wife hesitated but followed my lead. We were left standing there in our underwear. They ran off, and after we managed to wave down a passing car, we called the police and filed a report. The officer didn't seem too interested. The next day, my wife shut down completely. I figured she just needed time to process, but today she exploded, angry that I didn't defend her. We already canceled all the cards and filed the report, but now she's furious that I didn't protect her dignity. We argued. I didn't know what else she expected. We were outnumbered and they were armed, or at least acted like they were. Yeah, we lost some stuff, but we weren't hurt. Isn't walking away safe the best possible outcome? So now I'm sitting here wondering, was I wrong? Was I a coward for choosing safety over trying to be a hero? Phones, wallets, they can be replaced, credit cards can be canceled, but your life? You don't get that back. I didn't risk ours for pride. And unless I suddenly woke up with superpowers, I did what I could. Sure, it sucks to be robbed, but it's not worth dying for. I think what's really eating at my wife is the humiliation. Being forced to strip like that. Maybe she just wanted me to say, please, don't make her do this. Not fight, not risk it all, but at least ask. She probably needed to feel like someone stood up for her, even if it didn't change anything. It's different when you're a woman. The fear hits differently, and I get that. But I wasn't thinking about gender. I was thinking about survival. This was trauma. Maybe we both need to talk to someone. My parents once got mugged in Rome. A guy with a knife asked for their money. My dad said, "No, stab me." The guy got mad and ran off. My mom freaked and told that story for years, still mad he could have gotten them killed. I guess there's no perfect reaction. You either act or you don't. And not every decision will feel right in hindsight. Now, switching gears, a close friend of mine is getting married this weekend, and I'm supposed to be part of the bridal party. A month ago, she asked if anyone could stay the night before the wedding, and I said yes. I wanted everything to go smoothly. But I'm also in the military. 2 years ago, I told her my availability might depend on deployment. Well, last week, I got word. I'm being deployed soon. For anywhere from 6 months to 2.5 years. My spouse can't come with me, and I won't be home for at least 6 months. I leave a week after the wedding, so I asked if I could just arrive in the morning. She said no, it was too late to make changes, and she wanted me there the night before. I hadn't told her about the deployment yet, but now I had to. I explained that I didn't want to sleep on a floor or couch right before deployment, especially with my back problems. I also want to spend as much time as I can with my family before I go. Plus, I wake up at 5 a.m. for runs anyway, so being late isn't a risk. She broke down, venting about all the last-minute drama she's dealing with. I told her I'd try to work it out. The next day, I called her maid of honor, a mutual friend, and explained everything, hoping she could help. After talking to the bride, she called back with an ultimatum. Show up the night before and act like everything is fine, or step down from the bridal party and attend as a guest. I'm frustrated. I've supported her through so much, and this feels like a one-way street. If I show up that night, I'll be doing it bitterly, and that's not how I want to feel on her big day. But now I'm wondering, am I wrong? Is it unreasonable to want one last evening with my family before I leave? And if a single night on the floor would mess up my back, am I really fit for deployment? Why can't I just show up a little later? That night, after dinner with my family? I don't know if I should cave or walk away. Honestly, I think she was being way too dramatic by demanding I sleep over the night before instead of just showing up at 6 a.m. But at the same time, maybe I was being a little dramatic too by not just going. Still, if I were about to be deployed for up to 2.5 years, I'd want to spend every possible night with my partner. It's not about flaking. It's about making the most of limited time. Sure, she gets one wedding day, but I'm about to lose hundreds. That's not nothing. Some folks said it sounded like an excuse, but others completely understood the situation. In her defense, I had said yes a month ago, and backing out last minute didn't look great. So I get why she might have felt frustrated or unsure whether I'd actually show. But her reaction still felt extreme. I wasn't saying I wouldn't be there, I just didn't want to sleep on the floor the night before when I could be in my own bed with my family. And yet somehow that turned into an all-or-nothing demand. Either I show up for the full overnight or step down. That wasn't a compromise. That was control. I tried to be honest about my limits. I told her the truth, and even then, I was still willing to be there. The part that really hurt wasn't even the ultimatum. It was realizing that me not being there for one night meant more to her than years of friendship. And what hurt even more? When I decided, despite everything, to show up anyway, after my family went to bed, I texted the maid of honor to let her know. I figured it was the right thing to do. What I didn't know was that an hour before that, the bride had already removed me from the group chat. No call, no text, no warning, just silence. No chance to say, okay, I'll come. She didn't even wait to hear my decision. So now I'm not part of the bridal party anymore. And honestly, I don't even know if I'm still invited to the wedding. After years of friendship, she couldn't be bothered to speak to me directly. No explanation, no room for a conversation, just cut me off. That's when I knew the friendship was already broken, long before the wedding ever happened. And now we shift to something a little closer to home. I'm married, and we have 3 sons, ages 39, 38, and 24, and a daughter who's almost grown. Our sons all love her, or at least most of them do. Our middle son, who also has a teenage son of his own, can't stand her. A few weeks ago, it was my grandson's birthday. My oldest didn't come, he said he was too exhausted from work, but his wife showed up and brought a gift. My youngest skipped it too because he doesn't like being around loud teens. My middle son, the birthday. Boy's dad seemed irritated. Then when my daughter's birthday rolled around, things blew up. My oldest and youngest spoiled her with gifts and made her feel special. That's when my middle son exploded. He yelled at his brothers and called us all selfish for treating her like a princess and ignoring his son. I told him flat out, your daughter is their sister. Your son is not. They aren't obligated to treat him the same way. He's not their sibling. He's their nephew. And that's a different bond. He didn't like that. He called me an idiot and stormed out. Now I'm sitting here wondering, am I the one in the wrong for calling out his entitled behavior? I don't think so. I think he's been harboring resentment ever since we had our daughter. Not because she's done anything, but because we had her when he thought we should have been focused on his son. Maybe he's never forgiven us for that. Maybe he sees every kind gesture toward her as a slap in the face. Still, he acted like a child at her birthday party. If he has issues, he could have talked to us, but instead he lashed out and ruined the day for everyone. Some people are saying I was too harsh. Others say he was never really treated equally, and it's all finally catching up. Maybe there's truth in both, but I know this. If anyone was watching that day, I guarantee they'd never want to be the middle son in this family. Not with that dynamic. Not with all that history. So what do you think? Was I wrong for defending my daughter and setting boundaries? Was I out of line for telling my parents they failed Ingrid? Or did I just finally say what everyone else was afraid to? Thanks for listening. If you love these intense family dramas, make sure to subscribe and turn on notifications, because the next chapter is coming soon, and you won't want to miss it.